YouTubes! Welcome back, Haunt Fam. So today I want to teach you guys how to make my demon skulls. I've got a lot of feedback on these. I put them on my Facebook page. You guys are like, oh, Cobwebs, well, how do you make the demon skulls? They're easy. They're basically just rigid foam. You can do these with a plastic skull if you want. But a little bit of foam, a little bit of Loctite foam, and you can make some beauties like this to grace your yard or your haunt. I got, what, 4 or 5 different kind of skulls here, and they're just kind of randomly made, just kind of playing around with Loctite. These guys have been outside in the rain and frost and ice for probably 15, 16 days, 17 days, and they still look great. So we're going to get prepped, we're going to get going. Let's do it. Okay, YouTubes, so we got to start with the skull. I have here Nightmare Maker's mold with the 2-part foam poured in. It's rigid foam, it's good hard stuff. That's what every demon skull started with, the skull just like this before it was stretched or touched. So this is what we started with. You can use a plastic skull if you prefer. They're cheap, they have less details, but the principle is the same for either a foam skull or a plastic skull. I just prefer the foam one, way better. So we've got our skulls here. We're going to decide what we're going to do. So most of my skulls, I stretched them out, and you don't have to do this part. You can skip this if you want to keep the mouth intact, not a big deal. So these are going to be easy. I've got a couple of cut lines here, and this rigid foam is so great that you can cut it with a hacksaw, a wood saw. This is a dollar store saw that I use for cutting little spaces in between teeth. But a good old hacksaw is always your trusty best friend. So we're just going to take the skull, get this one ready to go, got him marked out. We're going to take him and we're just going to cut the jaw off right across the teeth. Okay, YouTubes, so I got all of our jaws sawed off. We're good to go. This is the point, kind of decide how you want to form their jaw. Do you want a long jaw, a short jaw? Do you want to not modify it at all? Do you want an overbite, an underbite? Do you want a long nose? This guy right here just started off with just like this, except I just stretched his mouth down, his upper jaw versus his lower jaw. Just kind of play with things, you can mix it up. I know I definitely want to do one of these guys with a like a predator style jaw, where his jaw kind of fans out. I haven't done one of those yet. So I'll just take a little middle guy right here. Here's his lower jaw. I'm going to saw it right in half. Got a little wood backer here. And you can eyeball it, ain't got to be perfect, no big deal. So now we've got equal jaw halves, or so, close enough. And I want to go ahead and get him prepped. So my plan is for most of these skulls, you can use anything. I've got skewer sticks from the dollar store. I've got 1/4-inch rod from the dollar store. You could use paint sticks. You could use tree limbs. It doesn't matter. Whatever you got on hand. Because all you need something is to hold it temporarily. So now we've got our 2 jaw halves for this guy. I'm going to go ahead and take a 1/4-inch drill bit. I'm just going to drill through. Blast right through. And then we're going to stretch his jaw. We're going to figure out where we want his jaw to be. So I'm going to go right just close where his original gap was. Drill in. Alright. So we'll take our shish kebab stick, or actually this is our 1/4-inch dowel. I'm just going to cut this in half. And we can jam our halves up in here. Just like so. Alright, and these guys are going to be strong enough to where if your skull falls out of a tree, somebody knocks it, it's reinforced a little bit. This guy's skewer sticks, so this guy we're going to go ahead and we're going to use 1/4-inch dowels. And you could use the dowels to kind of line your teeth up to do how far you want them apart, how wide, you want them lower. Again, it's an option-heavy video. You guys can do this as much as you want, as crazy as you want, go wild, doesn't matter. So once you get them where you want them, I think maybe right around there is cool. We'll go ahead, and you guys know I'm normally not a fan of hot glue, but for this it's okay, it's just a temporary hold. So we got our jaws kind of stretched out, got the hot glue gun fired up. I'm going to put a little bit here, just to hold this guy in place. A little bit in the upper, because we're going to add some foam to this, which is going to lock our jaw into place. Okay, YouTubes, so I've got our lower jaws all in place. I gave this guy a double lower jaw. I thought that was cool. Don't worry about anatomy or physiology. They're demons. You can do whatever the hell you want. I've not done one like that yet. We've got our predator jaw, and I gave this guy a pretty wicked underbite, so I thought that's pretty cool. I love underbites. It's just my thing. So next thing I want to talk to you guys about is horns. You can go ahead and use pre-bought horns if you want. These are spirit horns right here. These are, I think, Party City and Halloween City from years ago. But I think it's a lot more fun just to go ahead and make your own horn. That way you have something that nobody else has in your yard. When they see it, like, oh man, where'd you get that from? I made it, man. Sorry, you just can't buy that stuff in the store. So you have the bragging rights for that stuff. So I think what I want to do is, I've got a couple of holes marked out on double chin here. I want to give him I think maybe like 2 cool, since he's got 2 chins, let's go with like 2 horns on him, you know? I thought that would be cool. So I'll go ahead and I'll die grinder those out and make a little recess in there because I don't like doing anything on the surface because if it falls or it's outside and the wind takes it and smacks it into a tree, it's more prone to snap off. So we're going to go ahead and start with this guy, and I'll make a little wire frame for him out of baling wire, and I'll show you that guy's next. Okay, YouTubes, so I went ahead and just die grinded out 2 big holes in his head. They don't have to be symmetrical, they don't have to be perfect. I want to give this guy twin horns, so I'm going to use just some baling wire. You can use anything that's flexible, copper wire, probably floral wire. We just need something for that great or Loctite foam to bite into and to hold on to while it's curing. So it's so easy just to take some baling wire, and you can get this at Tractor Supply Company. Amazon sells it. You cut with a pair of side cuts, super easy. And we're just going to go ahead and we'll make a little point for the horn. Use our hands to form it. And you can make any shape you want, it don't matter. And then usually what I like to do is take the wire. This one's probably a little long, so I'll snip it. It's easy to work with. And if it hurts your hands too much, you can always use a pair of pliers, not a problem. And we're just going to stab into his head and kind of bury it down in that rigid foam right there. Alright, so there is the makings of a horn. So what I usually like to do though, when I'm doing a horn, I try and add 3. That's just me, I don't know. Ain't gonna be perfect. But it gives a little bit of a nicer cage for the Loctite foam to swell up into and something to grab onto. So again, not a big deal. We just kind of stab in. Just like so into the foam. And we just sort of wrap it around these other wires however we want to. Not a big deal, easy stuff. And then I'll just wrap it, and I'll snip it off. And then if you want a sharp tip, you can just squeeze it with a pair of pliers. But again, that's just something for the foam to settle into, and we can just twist these 2 together. Not a big deal. So that is one horn, and maybe that sticks out too far for you. Again, once it's inside of him, you can put it however you want. If you want to twist it down and curl it up, whatever you want to do. Okay, YouTubes, so our horns are all but done. I gave double chin the 2 horns, finished his other horn, and don't worry about making them perfect and even, whatever. You don't have to do that now, it's not a big deal. The Loctite foam, we'll change that later. On our Predator skull, I gave him a big central horn and the back of his head to kind of turn down because my other skull is turned up. And I decided I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to Dremel out 2 extra eye holes and give him 4 eyes. Because you guys can do whatever the hell you want. It's demon skulls, they don't have to make sense. So he's going to have 4 eyes. And then this guy, I want to give him a pair of like, since he's got an underbite, I want to give him more of like a pair of like ibex horns or something like this. We're going to make him some real tall horns. So the next step to do is just like the barbecue cannibal skulls. I'll link that video below so you guys can see how I prep all these foam skulls. I'm going to go ahead and get my Dremel out, and I'm going to clean out all the areas I don't like. I'm going to open up the jaws a little bit. I'm going to clean out the back of the head, make it look rough. Clean up the back of the jaw some, because after these are all cleaned up, we're going to get ready to go to foam, and I'll show you guys that next after all the dremeling's done on these guys. Okay, YouTubes, dremeling is done. It's not for the faint of heart. You want to wear gloves, maybe do it outside or over a garbage can. Ooh, got a little something on me. I went ahead and got everybody knocked out. I'm pretty happy with them so far. We don't have to go too crazy, just enough to knock the big stuff off that we don't like. So I'm going to clean up this mess, and we are going to go to foam, because we want a clean area where we don't have all this extra stuff get into our foam. So let's go to foam next. Okay, YouTubes. So we got our skulls all dremeled out. We are going to foam, and we're going to use our Loctite foam specifically. Not great stuff, so we're hosing everything down. Loctite cures with water, so every little bit of squirt of water helps it cure. And we're working on a plastic bag because foam sticks to everything, and if you get it in your beard, you're going to have to cut it out. So we want to wet everything down. I've got one can opened up, ready to go. You can always add more water. I've never seen a new trigger like this. I'm always used to this this one right here, so we're going to see how this goes. So basically we just want to go ahead and fill our horn. So we'll hold the can upside down so we're not losing propellant. And we're just going to kind of fill up that little wire frame that we made. Oh, look at that, it's coming out, okay. It may take us 2 passes, that's okay. We're just going to squirt it in there. And we're going to try and fill our little wire frame. And we're going to give this about 10 minutes. Alexa, start a timer for 10 minutes. Shit, I don't have Alexa. Okay, so we're going to have it about 10 minutes. I'll put it 10 minutes on the clock after we get this all sprayed out. And a little bit of extra is better. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and do his jaw too. Fill that in for predator skull. So we're going to fill up double chin here. Try and keep the can upside down. That's his mouth. And we want to fill in his horn sections. And that little place that we use the die grinder on should hold the foam in the base. Alright. There we go. And again, a little bit extra foam is better. It's alright. So I'm going to go ahead and knock all these skulls. We're going to have about maybe 15 minutes before this stuff starts tacking up. And we're going to start hand sculpting this and twisting this into our little horn forms. And we can always go back and add a second coat. So I'm going to fill all these guys in, fill the horns in. And when I come back, hopefully, we'll be hand sculpting the Loctite foam. Okay guys, so I went ahead and emptied the can. Bad idea. 3 skulls one time, way too much. Do 1 skull in one time. I got everything hosed down. I'm waiting for it to tack up to the point where we can touch it and it won't get on your hands, but you want to wear some gloves anyways. So like right now, it's still stringing up. We're close, but we're not quite there yet. We want to make sure that it doesn't stick to our hands. We can start smashing it down and forming it, so we're going to do that next. Alright, let me see if I can get them off the plastic. Okay, so this stuff is like basically like working with marshmallow consistency and getting it in that right timing, which is why making 3 skulls at one time, bad idea. Because one's going to be harder, one's going to be softer. They'll all be different levels of firmness. Okay, so this is what we got. And you probably want to change gloves in between skulls. Because the stuff that's on our hands is going to stick to the other horns, is going to want to pull the foam away. So we're just going to kind of twist, or however you want, doesn't matter. We're just trying to stay within our wires and cover our horns. And if you feel like you're getting stuck to, you just hose it down with some more Loctite. We're basically just using it like sculpting clay almost. So smash down on his head, and we're just going to start making them horns. Like I said, again, it's a demon horn. You can make your anatomy however you want it. If you want twisted horns, straight horns, I'm going to kind of pull that back a little bit, try and cover the wire. We're squeezing the air out of there. As you can see, we're getting some pretty nice horns. You can twist them around a little bit if you want. And if you ever feel like you're getting sticky, just add a little more water to your hands. Give it a little spurt of water. Let's start building that mouth up a little bit. Don't worry about the back of the mouth being open. If you want to not have that open, I'll show you a fix for that after we get our foam kind of packed in here. Pack it around those lower jaws. Again, we can always go back and do a second coat. Not a big deal. If it sticks to your hands, that's okay. We're just kind of hand forming this and giving our guy a mouth here. Squeeze that air out. And again, just spritz with some water. Alright, so we're getting there. I'm just kind of keep gently twisting and kind of wrapping it around that wire. Oh, see, I held on too long down here, so now it's sticking. That's okay. I'll have to go back and do a second coat, but this stuff also works great for corpsing. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap that around. I'm going to let this guy be for now, because we can always go back in a couple of minutes. We'll just let him sit, and we'll fiddle with the predator skull. Now we're going to get him off the plastic. Oh man, what a mess. Yep. Too aggressive. 1 skull at a time, folks. Okay, so we got Predator here. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and start hosing him down. And then I'm going to change gloves because I have got a lot of foam on my gloves. Alright. Next time, 1 skull at a time. Don't do 3. Unless you're really fast. Okay, let's wet our hands. Let this guy down. And let's go in there and start making our jaw. Okay. Just hand form it. Smash it up against his skull. Just like so. And again, you can even bring his cheeks out if you want, make his skull bigger, wider, deeper. We got our little eye holes in here I pushed out. So we'll kind of hand form a new sculpt a little forehead for him. And we can always go back to the Dremel later, it's not a big deal. And we're just giving him a lower jaw. So I'll scoop this out a little bit so we have sort of a ridge to put our teeth in later on. And we just want to kind of smash that around, and we're basically just hand sculpting our skulls and putting the features in that we want. And here's this big central horn. Smash that down. Again, I'm just twisting, using my hands. Give a little twist. Little twist. And don't worry about if your pattern isn't perfect, because we can always cut ridges in later with a hacksaw blade. So alright guys, I've got probably another 10 minutes or so to mess with all these before they firm up and I can't touch with them anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and do some hand sculpting, and I'll show you what they look like at the end of our first coat of foam. Okay YouTube, so it's been about 15 minutes and the foam is still kind of pliable. So I'm just kind of stuffing it and forming it, usually once to swell back up. And the great thing about using the wire is that if you want to reform your horns or bend them around while the foam is still drying, you can move your shape to whatever shape you want to tweak your shape, so that's always a bonus. And I kind of like mine not perfect, a little bit out of whack is fine, but I think we're getting close to where this is going to harden up. I'm going to give it about probably 35-40 minutes so it's rock hard, and then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to put a second coat on. I'm going to fill out this side, and I'm going to do the same thing, just hand tweak it until you're happy with it. The harder you squeeze it, the denser it gets, and it becomes more like this. So like a piece that didn't have any squeezing to it is light and fluffy. And it also adds lightweight, so that's a great thing. So I'm going to go ahead, and I definitely got to beef up this guy's horns. I'll probably add, I don't know, maybe a little to this guy. And I'll probably use some of it to go ahead and corpse with, because you can actually corpse with this foam too. You just slap it on there and touch it with your hand, you let it swell up, and then you just touch it with your palm and smash it down. It gives you great like warts and hairy texture like this. This will be my second and last coat. I got everybody hosed down with some water. I'm going to keep on hand forming, and when I get back, we're going to start on details for these guys. Start cleaning them up and get ready for some paint, do a little bit of die grinding, clean up, start filing for some teeth, and then we're going to go right to paint and start decking these guys out, man, with some texture and stuff. Okay, YouTube, so the second coat of Loctite specific foam is dry. I went ahead and I just kind of filed between all my guys' teeth with just an old hacksaw blade, because I love to open up the little slots in between the teeth. I did go ahead and die grind all the horns out how I wanted. And then I like to come back with just a hacksaw blade and put some little thin lines in there, because paint's going to go down there and catch those. They're going to stand out more and look cool. You know, more like a real horn would be. Now these guys do look pretty ragged and rough, and that's okay. We like them that way, because we're going to run the torch next. So this is what they look like. This is twin horns, or double chins. I got a big ass hole I knocked in his head with a, I think 3/4 inch spade bit or something. I want to put a chain in there, so when we mount him later we use a chain. But they're kind of raggedy, and that's okay. It's just sort of like the barbecue cannibal skulls. It's okay to be rough because we're going to run the torch. Okay, YouTube, so we got our blowtorch. Can you use a heat gun to do this process? Absolutely, but it takes forever, and I hate freaking waiting. We're going to go ahead and use fire just because it's cool and it's fun. Plus, they're demons. They need some fire in their life. We just got to be careful we don't burn up our beard or our sweet-ass Panthro shirt. So we're going to put a little bit of color on these guys, just like the cannibal barbecue skulls. And I'm using propane and not the yellow map gas, because yellow map gas is way hotter. And we just want to go in, and I always wear a second glove, a heavy welding glove, because I always have a tendency to reach for stuff that I just burned, so a little protection doesn't hurt. And we're going to do these just like the cannibal barbecue skull. We're just going to give a little bit of color, and this is going to help burn and melt those little flyaways that we cut all raggedy from the die grinder. And we just want to give this skull a little bit of color. It's going to bring some bubbles to the surface, and it's going to kind of start melding these two together. So I'm going to go through and melt all these guys and just kind of brown them a little bit like pre-cooked sausage. Get a little bit of color on these guys, and we're going to move right on to the next step. Fire in the hole. Just looking for a nice brown color. Okay, YouTube, so you can see we got a beautiful golden brown color on our skulls. We kind of blended our rigid foam into our Loctite foam, and we have no color on these skulls whatsoever yet, no paint. So at this point, we're going to do just like the ones I made. I'll show you how, guys, I made them. You guys can go right to paint if you want, or right to corpsing. But first, I want to go ahead and do a little bit of color, because when I paint these, I want to have darker color in the darker space, like the eye sockets, the underside of the skull. It's just a little bit of pre-fills I like to spray on there, so I like to hit all my eye holes. Nothing perfect, nose holes, place where I'm going to put the chain, bottom jaw, underside of the skull, and just kind of brown them out. That way we get some pre-fills in there before we go on to paint. Okay, YouTube, so our skulls are basically all browned out. I went ahead and sprayed some of that red oxide primer in the deepest recesses of the skull, like the eye holes, the underside, you know, big holes in the skull. So now comes the fun part. Now you can do the texture before we go to paint. I use Loctite foam. You can spray this stuff in your hand and smack it on, and that's how I got this texture. Once it starts to swell up, you just smash it down, and then you can turn the torch on. It'll bubble up. It looks great. It looks like missing skin or like a warty texture. You can always go right to the standby cotton balls and wood glue if you want to do like sort of like paper mache corpsing or whatever, or if you want to do shop towels and glue and water. This one's up to you guys. You can use plastic bags and spray glue. I've got a couple kinds of spray glue, which is how I made my skulls. I use spray glue on them, but there is also this spray glue, so I'll show you guys this too. And it's just as easy as spraying on some spray glue. And then you can tear up some creepy cloth if you guys want to drape creepy cloth on yours and corpse with this stuff, because this stuff looks great too. This is where your options are endless. You can skin these guys however the hell you want. For the ones I made that I showed you guys on Facebook, I just went ahead and did the old super glue. It gives a nice texture. If you get close, you get more lumpy buildup. If you get back, you get a finer texture. So if you want to get in places where it's heavy, you just build up. And this also makes a hardened skin too, and if you want, you can do a nice paprika rub, good old paprika standby, and go ahead and hit it with the heat gun, and the paprika will turn black, so it gives you some more color, which is really awesome. But for the ones I made, again, I just use regular spray glue and play with it. You got the spray adhesive, which comes out more like a stringy texture. See if I can show you guys that. So this makes little like waves and stuff. You want to put it over the horns or, you know, down the face. By pressing down on the nozzle or not, you control your how you're spraying it, and you can just go ahead and hit everything and just add some spider webs if you want, but they'll all burn away. But to add some more glue, and if you think you got a little bit less, you want more to cover up, like if you got a hole where you can see one of the little rods I put through, just give it some spray glue. Just go real heavy. And then I go ahead and I heat gun this stuff, and it kind of boils and blisters a little bit. Or you can go back to the torch, but it'll catch on fire. I've done that before. So you just got to be careful with it. And that's how I got my texture for mine. You can see the glue starting to wrinkle and stuff. And then after a time, it'll settle down. So guys, this part is endless. I'm going to go ahead and spray glue all mine, and I'm going to paint mine. And I wanted to pick some vibrant colors. So let me show you guys what I picked for paint. Okay, YouTubes, so after I spray glue my skulls, and then I boil it with the heat gun, or maybe possibly the torch too, I thought, man, these are demon skulls, I want to have fun with them, I want them to be bright, I want them to stand out in the graveyard. So I've got some hot pink or some fluorescent pink, just marking paint for like soccer fields and stuff. I got some orange, and I got a brighter green. I'm going to do kind of different variations of the colors I already have. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to knock all these guys out. I'm going to paint them. I'm going to pick a color for each one. I'm going to go back. I'm going to put a color of, or a coat of matte clear on each one, just to sort of lock that color down. Okay, YouTubes, I'm back with Mo, Larry, and Curly, because nobody likes Shemp. And I had a little snafu with the pink paint, so I went ahead and just used an alternate paint. I used a sort of a satin green apple. I thought that was kind of cool. A light color green, since I already have a dark green skull, doing multiple colors. Everybody's been spray painted, and I got a coat of satin or matte clear on top of everybody, kind of lock them colors down. You can go on to washes right now. I mean, you can still keep pushing if you want to, but we're getting ready to go to stain. So before stain, I always like to do teeth. Now you can use plastic teeth off the internet. I've got some Menards teeth here. I've got some pumpkin pulp teeth, but they're really kind of shiny and they're soft. So I like to take a piece of 80 grit and rough them up so you have those nice little scratches and dents and chips and stuff in there. And if you don't like the length of a tooth, man, you can just take a pair of side cuts and snip it off and make it jagged. So I love that. So there's two ways to go for teeth. You can do either buy the store-bought pre-plastic ones that are really smooth and then just scuff them up and beat the hell out of them. Or you can make your own teeth. So I've got a couple of videos where I make teeth and just use polymer clay and make your own. So we've got a bunch of different teeth here that we can mix and mash. I know this guy here, underbite, I want some big, nasty, dirty fangs on him. Oops, there goes that one. So I definitely want to put a bunch of teeth up, pointing upwards, just like my green skull. I think for this guy, for a double chin, I just want to use some smaller teeth. I just want to put some smaller fangs up on his upper deck, just to kind of bring out those. I'm going to paint the rest of the teeth. I've got an off-white color that I like to use for teeth. I don't want to really do like bright white teeth. And I'll go back, because our stain is going to bring it down, and we can go back later and even yellow them up even more or change the color. And I think for a Predator-style skull, I want to get a bunch of small teeth, and I want to line his whole jaw with them. And you could take teeth, either your homemade ones out of polymer clay, you could use them as little horns and stab them in. You could use them as little cheek spurs. And you can load your skulls however you want. It don't matter. Again, this is another option heavy video. You guys can lay teeth over the whole head. It don't matter as little horns. I like to use them as both. You get more use out of them. So I think my plan is going to be to, before we go to stain, I want the teeth in because I want to get those dirty and stain right on top of them, make them nasty. So usually what I do is when I'm going to put a tooth in one of these guys, I have that extra little ledge here of the rigid foam, and that's kind of why I beef them up a little bit. So we'll take our regular tooth. I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole in his lip, so in the lower mouth here on that little shelf. It blows right into the styrofoam so easy. So I'm going to take this guy. We'll get some dollar store epoxy. They sell this at Dollar Tree now. First time I saw that, which is kind of cool. Usually I use DevCon epoxy, but they got this stuff for $1, so I'm going to try that. And now that we got a little hole drilled in his jaw, I'm going to go ahead and get some epoxy. I'm going to stab in his tooth. So we've got a nice little bite on it, which is actually pretty cool. And I'm going to go ahead and knock out teeth on all these guys. And when we come back, we're going to move on to stain, because the stain is the next thing. And that's going to give all the deep, dark colors. Like this guy was a bright purple skull. So the stain is going to darken all this stuff and put the nasty filth and stank on it, which I really love. So I want to be able to stain the teeth too as well. And then I did go ahead and I figured, you know, I've been making some prototype tiki skulls. If you guys haven't seen my tiki video, I'll link it down below since we're using some of the techniques from it. I want to make some demon skull versions. I thought, man, why don't we do some eyeballs for these guys? None of my other demon skulls have eyeballs. So I thought, alright, that's going to be easy enough. I just made up some eyeballs. How cool are these? And they're simple. All they are is just a wooden ball from Amazon, a 1-inch ball, and you can get them in any sizes, marble sizes, whatever. And a dollar store bamboo skewer. I just went ahead and drilled an 1/8-inch hole in the back of this thing, glued in a skewer, painted it. You can hold it on the stick to paint it. It works out great, and then stab it in the cardboard to let it dry. So we're going to put some eyeballs in these guys to give them an upgrade. Again, you guys can go crazy. You can add as much as you want, but we're going to do eyeballs last because I don't want to get these stained up. I want these to be bright and vibrant for when the light's on them, whatever. So let's go ahead and knock out teeth, and then we're going to move on to stain and really bring the stink to these guys. Damn, brother, you need to get to the dentist. Freaking breath is kicking like kung fu. You're a good boy. You get to pick out of the treasure chest. Okay, YouTubes, our stooges are back from the dentist. We got us some teeth. Got everything painted, and I didn't even manage to get anything on my sweet-ass Panther shirt. Pretty cool. Alright, so our next step is stain. I want to bring some filth and some stank to these guys. We're going to knock these pretty white teeth down, just like this guy. Same deal. And I'm going to use wood stain. That's what I've used on all my other ones. Works out great. So I've got any wood stain will do. I've got some spring oak. That's more of a yellow color. If maybe say you're doing like a yellow or a mustardy color skull. I've got some Sedona red, which would be great on a red skull if you want to make it like that vibrant, like bloody red. Or you could even use permablood at this point. It don't matter. If you want to blast that bad boy with permablood, that'd be awesome too on a red skull. Any color will do. Maybe if you had like a white skull, you want to do like an icy thing or an icy color demon, you could use some of the baby blue Woodstolium red stain in aqua. So it's basically pick your poison. You guys can easily go to a wash at this point. If you want to do a wash and then seal it, then go ahead and put your accessories on and hang these bad boys where you want them. But my choice for these to really bring some dark and filth is, hold Home Depot Minwax. This is Jacobine. This is the color that Nightmare Makers puts in a lot of their skulls. It's almost so black. It's brown, but it's more black than brown. It's really just dark and nasty and filthy, so that's why I like it. Most of these other colors won't use. And this is going to go and show off all our details, our little bubbles, our blisters. It's going to get between the teeth, make them look all nasty and disgusting. And it's going to be an easy fix. We're gonna blast on horns, teeth, everything, whole face, and wipe away. If you feel they're getting too dark, just go ahead and blot it off some more. So I got 3 skulls to get through. I'm going to go over the teeth, the eye sockets, the horns, everything. We're going to black them out basically, and I'm going to wipe away to when I get to a point that I don't like. So I'm going to get these guys over here, make some space. And I may throw some perma blood on these guys later. I don't know, maybe towards the end for little last looks. But I'm going to go ahead and dip in here, go right to the top of the head, and kind of stipple it in place. And I'm just going to do a big section at a time, don't matter. Unless you want your skulls really dark, then let it sit. But mostly I just want to darken them sockets and stuff because we're going to pop them eyes in there last thing. So we're going to call that good. And then I'm going to go in, and I'm going to knock that down with a rag. I like that. Oh yeah. Damn, Underbite, you kind of look like the guy from the Matchbox 20 album cover. Oh yeah. Okay, YouTubes, we are back with the Stooges again. It's been probably 4 or 5 hours. The stain is a little bit tacky, but it turned out great. I did go ahead and take some just yellow wax and I yellowed up the teeth because I love that meth mouth look on our demons. They don't be brushing their toofuses. So I think you could actually stop right now if you wanted, throw your clear coat on there, and you're done, man. Get ready to mount these guys, hang them out in your yard. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry brush a little bit. So I'm going to use the same color I started with, or a lighter version. This is my lightest green. So I'm going to go ahead and dry brush a little bit with this and just hit the tips. And I'll probably go over each one of the guys. And I'm using the same dirty stink-ass brush that we did our black stain with. And I just want to kind of hit some highlights to add a third color in there, just to kind of brighten up a little bit. And I do this before I do eyes, so that way you don't accidentally poke your brush in there and hit the eyeballs. But I think it just adds that nice little pop of color on the edges and ridges. And gives an extra shade in there, so it looks like multiple colors. Okay, YouTube, the painting is done. Let's talk about mounting these guys. This prior stack I made of all these guys, these are just dollar store rope of all these little prior demons I made. And these guys are just hanging out in the yard on the witch's tripod. So you can either go a couple of different routes to mount these guys. The good old dollar store rope, which I have here. I've got some plastic chain off Amazon, which I love. I like to mix and match, so I got some plastic chain we can paint up. You can also stab these guys onto a spear or a stick. You can put them on a graveyard or cemetery fence to stick them on one of the spikes. And you can hang them from trees. You can mount them to a tomb. You can do just about anything with these guys. So last step for ours is some eyeballs. I'm going to put the eyeballs in. Oh, did I tell you guys? They're blacklight. That's right, YouTubes. Why not go blacklight? I love it. I'm a child of the 70s. It makes everything cooler to have some blacklight demons. I'd like to really do a blacklight graveyard one day and repaint my tombstones and have some blacklight demon skulls out there on the fence and whatever. I thought that'd be awesome, so I went ahead and painted them blacklight, popped their eyes in. We're good to go, man. I'm going to take these guys outside, I'm going to mount them, and we're going to take a last look at these guys. Okay, YouTubes, the demon skulls are done. Are you ready to behold my beautiful babies? Check them out. Here they are. Here's the Predator style skull. I really love the greens on him. I gave him just some bright yellow eyes and faded a little bit of green behind him. So when you're looking from different angles, you see a little bit of green and then mostly yellow. I thought those popped really nice. The big gash on the side of his head, I went ahead and I filled with Spanish moss from the dollar store. This is the purple one I made earlier. Here's good old double chin. I went ahead and rusted some chain, plastic Amazon chain like I did for the witch tripod video. I'll link that below for you guys if you want to see how I painted the chain. I got him just kind of dangling there. I thought the green eyes were really cool on him. And I did go ahead and I just poured black resin to plug the hole for the chain. So he's got some great texture on him. All these guys are seal coated with matte clear. Then here's double chin. Or, no, here's underbite. These big old tall horns. Again, I got him just mounted on a pole. I love the orange eyes on him. Like I said, eventually I think I'd like to do probably a blacklight haunt. But man, they just came out great, man. I just love making demon skulls. I've been making a few on my Facebook group, so you guys go check out Cobwebs and Candlesticks on Facebook. And drop your demon skulls there. I want to see if you guys are going to attempt this. Okay, YouTube, so that's my demon skull tutorial. Hope you guys dig it, man. We just used some foam skulls. You can also use a plastic skull, some dowel rods. We stretched it, used some Loctite foam. And made us some demon skulls. I think they're great, man. I think the kids are really going to get a kick out of them. I'm going to hang them in the garage for the kids when they come in to get their treat bags. We're going to see them dangling from the ceiling, so that's going to be awesome. Man, they're ready for outside. They're all clear coated. We're good to go, man. I hope you guys attempt these, and if you do, drop your pictures on the Facebook group on Cobwebs and Candlesticks on Facebook. I want to see your guys' demon skulls, man. And as always, go check out my brothers in the Trio of Terror, Vic over at Monster Misfits and Dave at the Weird Kid Show, guys. It's Halloween for us year-round. We never stop building. We're always working, making something creepy or evil. So, man, I hope you guys dig it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for putting up with me. And share your pictures, man. I want to see your demon skulls. Until I see you again, keep it evil, man. Ah, shit. Baby! Bring the scissors! I need a haircut! And a beard cut! I need to find Jesus.